Welcome. This is another in the videos on the history of the Jewish Church from the time period 520 BCE to 100 CE. This time period covers the time between the return from Babylon and the Persian occupation of Judea to the Roman occupation after the Second War in Judea. This final presentation is on the Second Jewish War, which occurs slightly after that time period, but it is the end of the build-up throughout 100 CE. So if we look at the time, there is a second Jewish revolt, a second war. It happens in the spring of 1992 through the summer of through the spring of 132 to the summer of 135. In these 3 years, there is a revolt that has open conflict throughout Judea. The real question is, why did it start? Was it Hadrian's creation of Aretana Capellana in Jerusalem's location and his placing of the Juniper temple on the site of the Jewish temple? This would be common in many of the ancient times, to put your capital on top of a foreign god's capital. This could have incensed the Jews and caused them to fight. The other thing is, it could have been Hadrian's laws for prohibiting castration, and circumcision may have fallen under this law. And this is the real trigger, because the temple had come and gone in Jewish life, but circumcision went back to the covenant of Abraham. If circumcision was prevented, it may have reverted back to the concept of Antiochus 4 Epiphanes that caused the Maccabees to reject everything. This may cause the Jews to fight, since we can't be a people, we can't be a nation without having circumcision. Now, there is some indication that both of these may have occurred, and especially the castration laws are underlined by Antonius Pius, the follow-on to Hadrian, having a law that allowed Jews to practice circumcision, but considered circumcision to be equivalent to castration for any Gentile. So you see, this particular laws of circumcision would have made the politics within the church, even from 60 to 120, a virulent part of the discussion. It would have been key to the Jews to be able to retain their Judaism, and the Christian church, which had Messianic Jews, would have had Jews who wanted to retain the circumcision and Gentiles who had all these questions from their neighbors. Why are the Jews castrating their children? So this particular revolt broke out between in 132, and it was led by Bar Kokhba, the son of the star. That's what that means. And the general that was called in to wage the war was Julius Severus, and he came out of the British wars, and he was a well-practiced general. The location of the war was Bethtra, which is a citadel not far from Jerusalem, which still was a Roman citadel. And the way that they fought the citadel was siege, letting famine do a great deal of the work. In many cases, Dio Cassius reports that 580,000 men were slain, and many more were in raids, and that famine caused maybe double or triple that. That there were 50 outposts captured and 950 villages. The village is probably reasonable. 50 outposts could be. We're not sure whether the city numbers. Now, here's an example of the sort of caves that were used by Bar Kokhba rebels. They were dug into the earth. They were hard for the Romans to get in. They were back evils. But it's a pretty stern life for the fighters. And during that time, you see on the right hand that money was coined by the rebels, that had the temple, that had the flames of God. Now, you see on the left a picture in modern Israel, in the Knesset, of Bar Kokhba, and it probably is a mythical one, but it gives you the idea of a man who is fighting a war with some protection, but basically in the rough. And that's how the Jewish people end. From that point, the Jewish people take a different thing, because the Romans further move the Jews out of the Jewish land and deport people. Well, that's the end of our presentation. Thank you for viewing this series. If you have questions, don't hesitate to send me an email. Thank you very much.